What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're just out here today cruising, just out here cruising around, but wanted to come to you guys real quick and kind of tell you a little bit about my addiction. I have to confess, I am addicted. I am a stone cold addict for motorcycles. I wanted to kind of tell you, how it all began and how it boiled into the feverish addiction I have today. It all kind of started 14 years ago, because my daughter KK is 14. Michaela, she and I gauge it because it was just about 8 days before she was born that I got my first motorcycle. So I was going to get my car fixed one day and noticed as I was pulling into the guy's shop that there was this nice little blue motorcycle sitting against the fence, kind of leaning against the fence. It had a bunch of wrecked cars in there and this bike just sitting out there, and I can't remember exactly if it had a for sale sign on it or not, but it was just sitting there. So I go inside, got my car fixed, and I was asking him about it. He's telling me it's just a bike. He don't know much about bikes, but he's got one, and that's what it is. And it's it was a CB, beautiful blue CB 400. Honda CB400, I believe it was an 81. So it was beautiful to me, man. Like the first bike I ever had. The chrome was so nice on it, as you can see from the picture. It's kind of a bad picture. It was done on a terrible cell phone, and that was the actual day that I got it. I bought it just before I went to work, and picked it up just before I went to work and took it to my job and took a picture of it out the back of my work. So, but the chrome was beautiful. Everything was good on it, man. Like it was, almost restored. And in retrospect, I wish I still would have kept it, because, man, how awesome would that have been, to have an 81 like that, or even my first bike, still have it. Anyways, that thing ran terribly. It was leaking a little bit of oil and everything. So I negotiated with the guy. I was like, look, it's not in the best shape. There's a little oil. I knew nothing about bikes, nothing at all. So I see oil. Okay, let me try to talk him down. So $700 later, I was on two wheels. That motorcycle was awesome. I did all my learning on it. I was the slowest thing on the road, but it's where I did all my learning. It's where I, learned about the controls. I learned about, pushing on the handlebars to get, go into turns. And I didn't know any of that stuff. So it was a great bike. I bought it about halfway through the season, and then drove it for that season, put it away, and then that next season as well. So, it was great for learning and everything. I even got a chance to do a little bit of mechanic work on it, because it was missing a couple teeth on the sprocket in the back, and the adjusters were bent. It looked pretty simple, so I went and I changed the sprocket. I changed the adjusters on the back, and tightened up the chain and everything. Was back on the road. So it gave me a little bit of experience and a little bit of confidence to work on bikes. But the thing was so slow. I mean, even at best, it was only a 400, and it's a cruiser 400. So it was just, I grew out of it very quickly. So I was looking for something else. Got rid of that and found my next bike, which was a CB 650. This was the only picture I could find, so it wasn't much to look at either way. So just a brown, doo-doo brown CB 650, but it had more power. And the big thing with that is I knew that it was, it wasn't much bigger than the bike that I had, but I wanted to get up to highway power. I wanted to be able to travel, longer places and have it, a legitimate vehicle. The 650 that I found was actually at a dealership, and the dealer, I knew that the dealer had a certain expectation to, check the oil, make sure everything's adjusted, make sure that the brake cables and the brake fluid and, the carbs got cleaned. I knew they were going to take care of it. So I'm like, what, this has got to be a better bike than what I am now. At least it's only 650, but I knew that I was going to get, mostly all of those 650 because it was tuned properly from the dealership. Got that, and it was good. It wasn't necessarily highway speed. I could get on the highway at about 65, 70, maybe 75 if I was really tough down going. It got me to where I was going. It was a fight for sure. It had some highway bars which helped. If I put my feet up, I could gain a little bit more speed and get myself up to 75, but usually about 65-ish. Approaching 70 was the best I was getting, so it really wasn't all that that I wanted. And even that, when I rode for 1 year, and there was one incident, I call it the way home from the beach incident. There's a beach about an hour south of Buffalo called Sunset Beach, and everybody rides out there. You know, a lot of bikes use it as a stopping point. Stop. You know, they have a bar out there, a couple restaurants right there on the beach, and of course the beach. So on hot days, you know, usually Sundays were the riding days, and you know, all the bikes would hang out there. So we'd ride out there, and you know, I don't drink or anything like that, you know, so I wasn't really in there drinking. The end of the night came, and you know, I'm with a group of riders that are on like leader bikes and larger 1300, 1200 sport bikes. We got on the thruway and they all just left me. I mean, they were gone. I seen nothing but, like, it was immediate red lights just going smaller and smaller, and then they finally just were gone. Me and Jeff was there. We didn't have communicators at the time, so he was just following everybody else. He had his CBR 1000 RR. I think it was an 08. And of course he was gone too, you know. It was humiliating. I was trying to go, you know, have my feet up and everything, but about 75, and like these guys were just gone. So I made a vow. I promised myself that on the way back, as I was getting back slower than everyone else, had a lot of time to think, I promised myself, never again will I be left behind like this. So my search continued, or my search began again, actually, for another bike. But this time I wasn't playing around. I'm getting a leader bike. At least I'm getting something that is going to, you know, is going to keep up. No more getting left behind like that. It was so embarrassing. So looked around. I tried to find something, you know. I didn't want a full-out sport bike because of the position. You know, it was very uncomfortable, leaned over, and I didn't like the instability of a sport bike. You know, I wanted a cruiser. I liked the you know, the kind of cruiser style, but I really wanted something with some power. So I looked at V-Maxes. I looked at, you know, bigger, you know, full dress bikes, but you know, although they had bigger engines, you know, they're big and fat, so they weren't necessarily faster. So I finally found this obscure little ad in Craigslist of a guy that was selling his motorcycle. Get this, because I can't touch the ground. Dude was mad short. He was like 5'5", and he had this bike that was really tall, you know. So I go over to look at it. You know, he's not asking too much. I think like maybe $1,600 or something like that. And I go look at it, and what it turned out to be, he had all these weird, you know, trunks on the back, and mismatched trunks and mismatched big things on the back. So I'm looking at this thing, and I go back and do some research, and what it turns out to be is a what was it, an 85 V65 Sabre, 1100 Sabre. And if you're not familiar with the V65 Sabre, it was Guinness Book of World Records from 85 to 89, so about 4 or 5 years, as the fastest bike on the planet. It's a drag, man. It was so powerful, so much different than the other bikes that I had, yet it had the same positions. I went over there, I told him, look, dude, you know, let me take for a ride real quick, you know, and was asking him about the cases, like, what the heck did you put on here? Anyways, took it for a ride, and I'm just cruising and, you know, listening, feeling, you know, trying to feel this thing out. And it's raining, but I was like, screw it, you know, I'm gonna take it for a ride. And as I'm riding, you know, I'm checking things out, and I look down and notice that I'm only in third gear going 75 miles an hour. And I'm like, wow, how the heck, you know, and it's quiet. It had the, you know, it had the OEM pipes on it, but I mean, the bike was, what I'm saying is the bike was easily getting up 75 and beyond what my bike couldn't do in fifth gear, you know. So I immediately drove it back to him, got off the bike and told him, hey, take your crap off of my bike. I'll take it, you know. So I told him, look, man, keep your stuff. I don't care. Oh, well, I can't knock the price down. I don't care. I'll still give you the 16. You just take this crap off my hands. So he ripped all the things off, and the more he took it off, the more I'm just like drooling over it. The styling, I really dig the styling. As you can see, like, it's a mean looking thing. It's all blacked out most of the time. You know, most of the engine and everything is blacked out with a little chrome accents. It's a good looking bike, you know. And as he's stripping it down and I'm getting ready and the deal is done, this dude started having regrets. He's saying, man, I never really took all this stuff off, you know. It's always been on here when I got it, and I didn't ride it but 2-3 times. And and I start telling him, you know, what this bike is as I'm ripping all this stuff off, you know, because it was a day later. I had already researched it and was like, I can't believe this guy has really got this bike and doesn't know what it is. This bike was awesome, man. Like, it had all the power that I could ever want. I'm popping wheelies like inadvertently, you know, just on accident. But it was so easy. It was very balanced. I kept up with everybody. Any sport bike, it wasn't a problem. I was even hurting some of the little 600 sport bikes feelings, because I'm telling you, I drove that thing so hard and probably way past the limit that it should have been. But I was riding with sport bike guys at the time, and they were ripping it, so I was right there. So time went on with that, and all of a sudden me and Jeff were out at I believe Carlisle, at a little bike fest down in Pennsylvania, and the bike cut off on me. All the power went. I was like, I didn't know what it was. Jeff went back to with the trailer, and by the time he came back, it had started up. So took it home. About a month or so later, same thing happened again, and the bike was just dead from there. I asked friends to come over and help. I tried everything. I had the bike torn down. I mean, like, everything, the tank off, the fairings, everything off. I couldn't figure out what was going on with this thing. While I'm thinking, like, it's pretty much hopeless, this bike is dead, I was on my way home from work one day, and I was going by my bank and figured, man, let me just give it a try. And went in there and because I had been working on my credit, and that may be another video that I'll talk about what I did, a really easy way that you can get your credit back that a lot of people don't realize how easy it really is. But anyways, so filled out the application, went back, and for like that 7th straight day, got into my dirty clothes, went outside and wrestled with the bike. So I'm out there, like a half hour later, I'm already out there with the bike, and the bank calls and was like, yeah, here's your money, when you want to pick it up. And I wasn't expecting that at all, because my credit score before that was like a 518. So I'm like, what? You're gonna give me money? Oh, that much money to buy a bike? Okay. I looked around again, another search for another bike, like, what am I gonna get now, because this one's done. And again, didn't want necessarily the sport bike leaned over, but I do want the power and all that. I was already hooked on the power. So I came across Yamaha FJR 1300s, and seen a 04 initially, but actually contacted some guy. He was in the military. He was saying, I don't do much riding anymore. I'm just going to sell it and get the money and then buy something when I'm done, off of duty. So ended up picking up from him. It's 09 FJR 1300. I only had like 1,400 miles or 14,000 miles. I'm sorry, 14,000 miles on it when I got it. And I got it at about 40,000 now, because I ride this mamma jamma. It's a long distance bike. It's beautiful. I love it. It comes with side cases, hard cases that are painted, that makes traveling so easy because they hold so much. And I got the luggage that came with it. And inside one of the cases, he had a rolled up rain suit. So loving this bike. Went, got it done, deal done. And don't you know, 2 days later, I'm out there messing around with that old bike, with the Sabre again. And I'm like, I looked at everything. What could be the problem? I checked this, and then go by and notice that my main fuse, the plastic box, is melted and all like warped. And I looked at it before, but it seemed, it's still working. There's still a fuse in there. Turned out to be that $15 part. So basically, I bought a brand new bike over a $15 part. which is great because I got my baby. I love Black Maddie. She's like an awesome bike. This bike is just so amazing. It's so fast. It's so awesome on the throughways, like traveling. It's very comfortable and so fast. Did I mention it was fast? Did I say it was fast? Oh, is it fast? So from there, I took the, you know, because now my credit was good and I can get loans, I took that money and began flipping bikes. So the next one that I got was 06 V-Star. It was an 1100 V-Star. It was a great bike, you know, looked good, had great leather on the seats and backrests and everything, and chrome looked great, paint looked great. It was a nice looking bike. However, it was not so fast. 1100 just wasn't enough for me. I'm 6'1", about 200 pounds, and I just can't do the little bike thing, you know, so I was romping on it a little too hard. So I flipped that, and the next one that I got, of course, was Red Rum. I went out to see this guy. He was really cool, you know. I took it down the street and everything, same situation, pulled back up to him. I had a trailer on the back of my car at the time, so I was about business. I told him, look, man, there's another guy that had the bike just like this, and he won't come off his price. He's acting like he's sitting on a gold mine. So what you trying to do? And he was just like, hey, come see it, you know, we'll talk turkey if you got money. I said, man, I'm carrying cash and a trailer. I'm not playing around. If you're willing to wheel and deal, I'll be out there. So anyways, I was out there, talked to him. When I got back from the test drive, I said, I don't even know why I pulled over here. I needed to be just riding this right up on my trailer, so I'll take it. I said, hey, the tires are bald. You want to knock 200 bucks off? He said, sure. Done. Let's do it. So I think I got hers real cheap. It was like 2,600 bucks. And I think at that point I was up on money. So Red Rum was, hey, she was just another one to start out. You know, I was gonna flip her, you know, nothing attached until I started riding her. Noticing that she came already standard with some straight pipes, some Vance & Hines straight pipes. The chrome was so nice. It had the Kuryakin supercharger on it already, and it didn't have the bags, and it didn't have the windshield or the backrest when I got it. It was just kind of bare, which it looked great, nice and low. And so as I rode that thing, I was just like, man, I love this bike. Just big fat chrome up front, just dripping chrome. It's an awesome bike, you know, and it had the power. It's a 1300. It was better than that 1100, but so far, you know, that pretty much brings us up to modern day now. Is I have Red Rum and I have Black Maddie, and I love having two bikes. It's absolutely essential to have the addiction that I have and to have two bikes, because there's times, as you've seen by my videos, that the batteries die, or, you know, every time I put it in storage, you know, I have to worry about coming back to a dead battery each year. But other than that, these bikes have been awesome so far, especially Red Rum. She's been one of my most reliable bikes when I have a proper battery in her. I love both of these bikes. I can't imagine myself getting rid of either one of them. And now that, you know, the miles that I put on them, you know, I don't think that I would get all that, you know, big amount of money to where it would be worth getting rid of them. I mean, it's more of a, you know, a relationship now I have with them, you know. So I think these Black Maddie is always going to be in the garage, even if I get a brand new one, which I've been thinking about. And Red Rum, I think she's going to be staying around too. She might be more of a candidate to trade, but because the only thing about Red Rum that I don't like is that supercharger on the right side. When I'm riding, they extended out the pegs, but it's always got one leg out further than the other leg, so it's not even, and it kind of tires you out when you're riding it, because your leg gets caught in the wind and you're fighting on one side. So one leg gets a workout. So that's the only downside, I would say. And the only other thing is that if I traded her, it would be for the 1800 version. There's a VTX 1800. It's much heavier, but it has crazy power. And for what I do with Red Rum, I mean, she's a cruiser, and that's what I do. I cruise. So I'm not trying to do anything crazy with it. I got this bike for the speed, and her for cruising. So maybe you know, if I do upgrade, it'll be an 1800 from you know, Red Rum. But I think Black Maddie will always be with me till I die. She'll always be there. Yeah, I actually, you know, I looked at the new ones and I'm not so impressed. The 09 version seems to be hanging more on the sport side of the bike, you know, because it's a sport touring, you know, but others are more clearly on the touring side. This one is still leaning a little bit on the sporty side, which I like. And even the styling and everything, the body panels are different than the newer years, and I'm not all impressed with all that separate sectioned off, you know, body panel. I like that these are all together and smooth. It makes it look more like a sport bike. Just kind of want to share with you guys, you know, I'm not sure, you know, leave me a comment, you know, I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear how your addiction started. You know, what was your first bike? You know, how terrible was it? How great was it? You know, did you start on like an advanced bike? I know some people that start on like Booses and, you know, some really powerful bikes that you probably shouldn't be starting on, but I'd love to hear from you guys, so leave a comment down there. And of course, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also, make sure you hit that like button to make sure that you get more videos like this. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Live free.